And you are back with 1700, the show for everything and anything Australian music.
We just had a fantastic performance by Bianca Modesti, and now we get to actually sit down and find out a little bit more about her and her music.
So Bianca, tell us a little bit about your song that you just performed, Race Against Time.
Yeah, so Race Against Time is basically about survival and the pursuit of dreams. For me, I started my career at a much later age. I've been singing and songwriting since the age of 14. And I, decided that much later on in life I wanted to actually pursue this path, and I was competing against people that were much younger than me. They were chasing the same dream, and I'd given myself basically 2 years to sort of make something of myself, and that's what that's about. It kind of feels like society sort of expects us to grasp success at an early age, and I think it's really important that we don't put that pressure on ourselves, because you can't rush personal development. So, and just a little bit as well with social media, the reality TV shows that are going up there, everybody wants to be famous. Unfortunately, those reality TV shows, yes, they give people a chance and that's great, but there are so many other indie artists out there that are really talented that don't get a shot, and they should be getting a shot. So
that's a great meaning.
Yeah.
So you've said you've been playing and singing since the age of 14, and you've had trouble, competing with the younger artists. Have you seen that as a major evolution of the Australian music industry, or is there something else in particular that you've noticed really significantly?
I feel with the industry at this point in time that there is a certain image that's expected of an artist, and I feel that yes, the younger you are, the easier it is to make it, and music today I find is all the same, and I think it's really important that the development of music, it's kind of, in my personal opinion, is kind of going nowhere. Everything sounds the same, it's always the same image, and I suppose Race Against Time is kind of a fight against that. I don't want to, when you hear somebody on the radio, you love their song, you don't think about the way they look, you think about, you just love the song and you see them, and that doesn't change, whether you like the song or not. So I just think that's really important that basically it's pushing back on the music industry and saying, well, no, this is how I'm going to be, and this is, the way I see it. I'm going to look the way I want to look, and I'm not going to give in.
It's a lovely way to put it. Really, really nice.
Right. I have a bit of an obscure question about the name, because obviously you've gone with your real name.
That's right, yeah.
Was there any thoughts to possibly a stage name, or is this more about the, this is me, this is who I'm going to put myself out as?
I had a really good think about this, and initially I had thought about doing a stage name. I hadn't come up with one, but then I thought to myself, there is only one Bianca Modesti, and I like to stay true to my authenticity, and I feel that my music is my music is authentic because it is about my life, and it's about things that are happening around the world, and I think that your name should be the same. So for me, keeping my name, there is only one me, there's not going to be another, and if I want people to remember me, not my stage name.
Yeah.
So,
That's fantastic.
Really nice.
Yeah. What do you find? What did you find was the drive to suddenly pursue this passion, as you said later in life?
Oh wow, it's in my blood. I've always wanted to pursue it, but what stopped me was the fact that I don't look like everybody else. I'm not a sex symbol in any way. But I decided to pursue it and face my fears and just go out there and hope that my music speaks for itself rather than my image. But the drive was my dad, believe it or not. My dad has always said to me, you need to pursue it, And for me, it was just being afraid. And then at the end of it, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I think everybody should do stuff like that, face their fears. It's not easy, but it's possible.
But with a support network like that, it would have made it even more special.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a really good support network, and that's what makes me keep going, I think.
Fantastic.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about your inspiration and your motivation behind some of your songs?
Yeah, sure. So I'm inspired by many artists. I grew up with a father that used to play bass, and he used to play songs from around 50s all the way up to the 80s and past that. But I find my inspiration lies within older music, so more soul, pop, more soul R&B, but I also like to I'm inspired by people like Pink, Kelly Clarkson and Christina Aguilera, but my biggest inspiration would be Stephen Zammit, and simply because his music just speaks to me on many levels, and we co-write together. So for me, it's he's the biggest inspiration, and more so than any artist that's out there, and that's because he inspires me to be who I want to be. So
that's beautiful.
That's amazing, and what an amazing message that you're putting out there.
Thank you.
As well.
Absolutely. So without further ado, another question for Bianca. As we know, the Australian music industry can be quite grueling, can be quite tough. So what has been one challenge that you have faced in your past and on your music journey, as well as one challenge that you are currently facing now?
In my past, the biggest challenge I've faced is basically pursuing the career to begin with, because I was afraid to even go there. Challenge that I faced while I was making my music was actually, I'd recorded the album, and from there I had no idea where to go. So I was on a year hiatus where I did nothing, and biggest challenge for me was trying to get my music out there without actually having any of the support. So just putting it up on iTunes and Spotify and going, yep, let's hope that people hear it.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge for me now, believe it or not, is is doing all these radio interviews. It really is.
You're doing
I remember when I started getting all of these interviews, I was terrified, and I still am terrified, and I think it's just terrified of failure, saying the wrong thing. But if I'm, honest and true to myself and believe in myself, then I know that I'm not going to say the wrong thing.
Well,
but
the interview today has been fantastic, so you have nothing to worry about there.
Thank you. But those are the biggest challenges. That the interviews make me really nervous.
Yeah, but I think it's amazing that it's all part of the journey and the development of your career.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So enjoy the journey.
Exactly. What's been your favourite part, do you think, so far?
Favourite part is actually talking about my music and talking about what it's about, why I write, where I've come from, and actually meeting the people that I'm speaking to, because without meeting these people, I wouldn't really be up here having an interview. So that's, for me, that's what it is. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Tell us a little bit about your hopes and aspirations for the future.
Oh, geez.
It's a big one.
I was going to say, they always say dream big, and I dream very big. Ideally, I would like to tour internationally, so that's where I would like to go. But first, for me, Australia is more important. So I want the people of Australia to know who I am. So if I can tour around, say, Melbourne first, then move around to Victoria and then Australia, that's where I'm heading at, and that's what I'm planning at the moment. We're trying to plan like gigs around Australia just to get my music out there, because if I don't perform, no one's going to know who I am. Yeah. So those are my biggest aspirations at the moment. I mean, there are bigger ones, like international, going to the awards, all that sort of stuff.
We'd love
but baby steps, one step at a time.
Yeah. And do you think there'll be anything sort of new or different that you'll be trying to incorporate in the shows that you do?
I kind of stick to my style. I've always stuck to pop rock. Though if you do hear my album, no two songs are the same on there. They're all different. But I will always sort of incorporate dancing in there. I might maybe later on, change a little bit of the style, maybe make it a little bit more upbeat. But I kind of like to stick to what I love doing, and that's pop rock.
Yeah. What kind of dancing do you think you'll do?
Is dancing on the horizon?
It's definitely on the horizon.
Fantastic.
I love sassy attitude songs. So a lot of my songs are sassy and got quite a bit of attitude. So the dancing has to match.
Put some snaps in there.
Yeah, snaps in there, little like head things, shakes, all that sort of stuff.
That's incredible.
I really love that.
I know this may seem cliche, but if you had one bit of advice or a sentence to give to young aspiring artists out there, what would it be?
Simple, don't give up. Keep going. If the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up is think about your career or think about music, and the last thing you do at night is think about music, then keep at it,
And
because
follow.
that's what, that's the way that I see it, is if you're always thinking about it, that's what you're meant to be doing. And don't give up. Like it to put the work in, and you're willing to put yourself out there and you know, get past those fears and be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your heart on fire, then do it. Don't ever give up.
Amazing.
Good message. And just before we head to a quick break, where can we find your music?
You can find my music on Spotify. It's under Bianca Modesti, obviously. It's on iTunes. It's also on my website, which is bianca-modesti.com. It's on Amazon. It's on all your main basic, you know.
Amazing.
Amazing. So if you want to find Bianca's music, you can head over to Spotify and all those platforms. Big thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
An absolute pleasure. We'll be right back. This is 1700.